Max, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Great. Dude, thank you for doing this call with us. So I was just giving everyone a background. We just started doing these live Q&As, and we wanted to be offering a resource from an expert to get their questions answered so that they're successful faster. So Max, you're in the middle of your 30-day challenge. I think today's day 15, right?
So yeah, I think today is actually day 14 of the challenge. Tomorrow is day 15. And some people have actually got a house under contract. Now we're going to be talking about, finding contracts and then how to disposition a deal as well too.
Okay. Man, that's like such a afterthought from a lot of people, I think, but it's so important.
Absolutely.
All right. So there's a lot of people here doing your 30-day challenge. So I wanted to open up the floor right now. If you guys have any questions about real estate investing in general for Max, or if you've got a DealMachine question, we can jump in and help too.
Yeah, let's do some DealMachine questions. I want to do some DealMachines.
All right. I see one. Do you see the chat from where you're at?
I don't.
Okay.
Maybe my guy can pull up the chat as well.
Let's see here.
Yeah, I got it now.
Okay. Looks like Jason Almo has like a pretty lengthy question. Hannah, do you want to bring Jason on real quick and see if he can ask it? While Hannah's bringing Jason on, there's a general question here, and they said, how can we maximize our time for driving for dollars? I've got a few ideas, but I'm curious, Max, what comes to mind for you is like the top few things that they could do to maximize their time while driving?
Maximize your time while driving. Obviously, you want to be listening to like podcasts and stuff like that while you're actively doing it. And that's pretty much it, because you want to, for me, you want to kind of focus on what you're doing. Driving for dollars is something that now that daylight savings is in play, you don't have much time before or after work. If you have a job, so you want to really focus on actually driving for dollars. You want to really pay attention to the telltale signs.
Yep. And actually, Max, you've got a video that I think is so practical. Hannah, I just made you the host, by the way, so you can bring Jason on. Sorry about that. And your video, Max, was like how to use, you can actually like pull a list and find out where most buyers are buying properties. You know which video I'm talking about? So you guys have, go ahead.
No, I love that video because that's exactly what I do.
Right. You said you want to find the houses where people want the supply. And
Correct.
so, yeah. So if you guys haven't seen that video, it's called like Buyer's List Hack, I think, on Max's channel. And it's so practical. It looks like we've got Jason Almo. Jason, can you enable your video?
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
I actually don't have a camera on my computer. I'm on a desktop, not a laptop.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead and ask your question.
Hello?
You're good.
I don't think you're going to be able to hear me, see me, because I don't have a laptop. I have a desktop.
So, all good. Yeah, you're good.
So my question is, so I just got an accepted offer, and they're wanting to kind of know next steps, but I'm at the point where I don't know how to explain to them why a bunch of people are going to be coming to their house for the inspection period if I'm the one that's actually buying it, which is what they think right now. So I don't know how to explain that piece. Do I try and get the keys from them, put them in a lockbox and go when they're not there? Do I explain to them, all these people are actually the ones that are going to be buying it? So that's kind of where I am right now.
So for me, it's more about setting the expectation with the seller real early. I let them always know I work with myself and a group of investors. Investors hang out in packs like wolves and dogs, right? So I say, listen, it's a few of us that work on deals together. Now, we may all buy a deal piece by piece, or I may be looking for a deal. I receive all the calls, and then sometimes I send the deals out to my investor friends, my partners. But I promise you that I'm going to get you the exact price that you have. Now, sometimes I can say that, I'm going to bring some of my partners through to look at the house with me. Some of them may want to invest with me on this deal. And sometimes you can say, hey, look, I'm bringing an inspector through, whatever you use, but you need to be setting that expectation that you're not a lone investor in the beginning. You work with a group of other investors, but the bottom line is you're the guy that's the boot on the ground that looks at but bulk of the property, and then say, hey, we meet once a week, whether it's in person or on the phone, and we discuss current deals that we have, and we all share deals with each other to see if we want to jump in on each other's deals.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. So Jason, do you have that? Is that under contract already?
Yeah, so I have it signed and ready to go, and I'm just waiting to tell the next step. So I'm sending out to all my buyers list and trying to get that date set, and then have everybody come out and see it. I want to have a game plan for that next step.
Yeah. So for setting expectations with the seller, you need to let them know that, hey, you're going to send off the contract with whatever earnest money deposit you said you were going to put down, if any, on your contract. And you're going to tell them that you're going to get this escrow open, and the title company or attorney, depending on what type of state you're in, is going to be doing a title examination. Now, this usually takes a couple weeks. Sometimes it comes back sooner. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. And then the attorney is going to call me once we have clear to close, and they're going to put you on the calendar. And depending on how packed their calendar is, it can happen pretty quickly once we get clear to close, or it may take a week, sometimes a week and a half. It just really depends.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you, Jason. Max, there's a question from John about REI Skip.
Mm-hmm.
And he is asking if it can hit LLCs.
Yeah, so I'm glad that somebody asked that question. Right now, there is no real good technology to hit LLCs, and I'm going to explain to you why. So LLCs are formed in whatever state that they're formed in, right? So in North Carolina, every state has its own Secretary of State. The Secretary of State of each state is in charge of corporations, and that's what an LLC is. It's a corporation. So all corporations have to be filed with the Secretary of State. Well, keep in mind, most states, I think at least 50% of them, are still paper states, right? And another thing is that some states require you to put who the members are. Some states don't. Every state does have what they call an agent, and that agent can be a person or an attorney. So the reality is there's no machine that can really go through PDF files and scrape every single LLC document that is filed with the Secretary of State. But the cool thing is you can do it. You can go to your Secretary of State, you can search that LLC name and look at the document with your own two eyes and pull off the pertinent information that you need for that. A lot of people think it's hard, but it's actually not. Most of the time, if I need to find some LLC information, I'll find it just like that, whether it's the registered agent or I actually find who the members are of the company are. And then we put those people in substitute of the LLC on our Excel sheet. And that's the people that we skip trace. It's only going to take you less than a minute to find that person and go through the doc. So it's pretty easy. And if like I said, if you want to win in this business, you got to do things that other people are not willing to do. So short answer, there is no software, there is no technology yet that can skip trace LLCs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the part that you just said, you got to do stuff that other people aren't willing to do, became so apparent with me when I was talking with somebody in Collective Genius, and they spend 20, 30,000 a month on marketing, and they simply are doing such high volume, like they won't go the extra step on anything. They're just taking what comes in. So like as a person who's like got a smaller business, like that's your advantage, is to take the extra steps that a lot of the bigger players just are doing too much volume to worry about.
Yes. The cool thing about being a small business, and I'm saying somebody like in this wholesaling world of doing like 3 to 5 deals a month, right? I consider that like a smaller end of a spectrum. You can do things that are actually not scalable to get your deals. For me, I used to drive every day. Now I can't, so I outsource the driving, right? So as a smaller operation, you can drive every day. Those things are not scalable actions that a larger institution that's doing 10 to 20, 30 deals can actually do. So they have to outsource it. So you have to take advantage while you're small of the things you can do that are not scalable actions, and still win, because you're only trying to get 3 to 5 deals a month, and doing those small things that the big guys can't do. Like Dave said, it's hard.
Mm-hmm. There's the next question says, what's the best way to tackle real estate in Canada? And I would say, from what I understand, people that wholesale in Canada, you can't find the property owners like you can in the United States. So they actually will send mail to the actual house and hope that it gets to the property owner. Obviously, it doesn't all the time, but there's so fewer wholesalers in Canada that seems to work. So I don't know what your exposure is to that, Max, but I just wanted to share that since somebody asked.
Yeah, I actually get this question probably, once every 2 months, and I don't have a good answer for it. I've only been to Canada once myself, so I don't even know how their system works, but I do know that they have a lack of public information.
Mm-hmm. Somebody says, how does DealMachine work for vacant land? And I'll say if it has an address, you can pin it and look up the owner. Do you have any other things to add to that one, Max?
I say it works just like a house. I mean, each parcel in America has a person attached to it.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Okay. Somebody says, how do you get out of a bad deal? I wonder what she means by that. Hannah, can you bring on Lorenda Landry? It's Laur.
Probably something that they got on a contract. Probably something they got on a contract too high.
While she's coming on, somebody says, how often are you looking for lists? And I don't know that I fully understand that either, but maybe Max, you've got an answer.
I mean, my job and my brother's job, who's the CEO, is we're always looking for new lists, but we're not neglecting the ones we've already collected. I think a lot of people do that. They'll do one round of whatever marketing that they do, and then they throw it away. Yeah, we definitely don't do that. We spend a lot of time on the list that we already have, but then we spend a lot of time procuring new lists as well.
Hey, Lorenda, how you doing? Can you turn on your video?
Yes, we're driving right now.
Oh, okay. Be safe. Yeah, you don't need the video, but you can ask your question.
Yes, we got a deal on the contract, just like Max said, it was too high, and we're trying to figure out how to get out of it.
Well, the best policy is always to be honest with the seller and to be honest as early as possible. Let them know you made a mistake and you put the property on the contract too high. You overlooked some things that you didn't see in the beginning, and maybe they might be willing to renegotiate with you, but you need to do this early as possible. And you need to find out why you thought it was a good deal in the first place. And you need to correct that action so that you don't do that again, because it's one of the parts of the business that a lot of people don't talk about, but it happens. And you just need to be a responsible person and be honest with the seller. And more than likely, it works out well. But you just need to be honest.
To that point,
Okay.
I was just going to add that I had a deal locked up for $55,000, and I was planning on buying it myself, but I kind of shopped it around to actually Alpine Property Group that buys from wholesalers here in Indianapolis all the time. And they were like, man, on that deal, we really need it to be at 44. And so before I closed on it, I had said, hey, it looks like, the cigarette smoke on the drywall is actually going to cost an extra $10,000 more than I thought. And so I still want to do this deal. I think it's going to be a great deal. And I want to close you out and get you cashed out quickly. But in order to do that, we need to bring the price to 44. And he thought about it. And then he was like, let's do it. So, and I did that via email, actually. He was kind of like a quiet guy and I think preferred that. But that's kind of my experience where that might help you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, thank you very much for that, because we thought that we had something because of the ARV being higher, but after speaking with some other wholesalers, we realized that it was probably not going to work in that price range.
Mm-hmm.
and I'm pretty sure this seller isn't looking to negotiate.
Mm. Okay. Well, if they're not willing to negotiate, I think you can give them that option of like if they want to do the deal at that time, like it's got to be at this price.
Yeah, and one thing that I started doing about a year and a half ago is I started actually buying a due diligence period. So my contracts, there's 2 deposits that I put down with each contract. One is the earnest money with the contract that goes to the title company, the attorney. And number 2 is the money that I actually exchange with the seller when I sign it. Now, in my case, it's $100. For other people's case, it could be 50. Whatever it is, you need to exchange some type of money to buy a period. So in my contract, it says I have 10 days to do my due diligence. Now, on any property that we put under contract, I'll know within 10 days. I'll know within 48 hours if I have something good. So I'm well within my right to cancel my contract legally and have no repercussions for it.
Do you know where would I put that on the 1 to 4 contract? Would I put it in special provisions?
I think
I
she's
said,
seeing
where
where
would
to
I
put
put
that in.
that on the contract? Would I put it under the special provisions or with the earnest money?
It depends. I couldn't say. There's so many different versions of contracts out here, but what it is called, it's called a due diligence clause. So Google that and see where you can find and put one. Look at it.
Thank you
But
so
if you're
much.
using a title company, more than likely they're going to give you. Absolutely.
Okay, thanks. Thank you so much. All right, man, we have 96 questions that have piled up. I think Elise is trying to answer some of them in the chat. So that's the good news, is we don't have to feel pressured to answer all of them because Elise and Hannah are here to help with that. I'm just going to keep rolling on here if you're cool with that.
Yeah.
Michael Lopez, great question. He says, how do you scale your DealMachine business effectively step by step? And without going into too much detail, I think it's on your 30-day challenge on your Instagram, right?
Yeah.
I think you got to check out Max's Instagram.
Yeah, you got to check out my Instagram. I do a bunch of videos, one particularly about driving for dollars, but real quick on how we scaled what we were doing. Once we reached the capacity where nobody in my team could drive as much, we started hiring dedicated drivers. Now, there's many different ways to do this. The Polites have an entire system and course on how they scaled. So you can check that out. But there's 2 versions of how you can do it. One, you can pay somebody by the hour, or you can pay somebody by the lead. It's totally up to you, but you need to use people around you so you can buy some of your time back. And that's pretty much it. You're going to scale by using other people driving for you. And if you have an enterprise account, you have unlimited amount of people that you can add to your account that can go out and drive on your behalf.
Mm-hmm. And to that point, when I was hiring my first dedicated driver, I had posted an ad on Craigslist, and then I set up 5 interviews, and one of the 5 actually showed up. So I was sitting alone at the coffee shop, and then the one who did show up the next day, she was like, hey, I decided to move to Florida with my mom. Okay. And so when you're hiring these people, like, you don't want to waste your time. And so we created, you want them to add properties for you as kind of like a hoop they need to jump through before you spend any time interviewing them and making them like a permanent member of your team. Mm-hmm. We have like a training portal, a sign-up page and a training portal so that you can have them learn how to add the properties and actually go do the job. And then once they've added a certain amount, kind of like lift that burden of onboarding and training for you. And that's part of the enterprise plan too. That's more of a recent addition. So William says, can DealMachine give a valuation on a property? So you can oftentimes see the tax assessed value, which is not a valuation of the property, but it's something. Okay, so that's going to tell you what the city values that property as for the tax basis. Max, what do you do to evaluate a property?
That's one thing about actually learning your market. and you need to spend time driving around and using many different sources to find values of properties. You know, a lot of people use the Zillow, the Redfin, the Realtor.com method, put it together, divide it by 3 or the lowest common. There's so many different methods, but it's not science. Evaluating property is not science. So you need to learn how to do that. And if somebody told me they had an app that can do it right away, I would be a little bit skeptical. I know there's technology out there that can give you a range and a confidence score, but that's part of being a wholesaler, is learning this game. If you wanted to be a baker, you need to understand what, a teaspoon, a cup, an eighth of a cup. Those are measurement things that you have to understand so you can go out and be a baker. It's the same thing. You need to learn how to evaluate property, and it's really not that hard. You just have to try.
Next question is from Nika. She made 50 calls today and got 2 appointments scheduled. And she says some leads are being called until they get tired of hearing my voice. So Max, what do you recommend as far as like how much follow-up to do?
So a rule kind of in my office, unless they say they do not want to sell and do not call me, we're gonna keep calling them. And it's just part of follow-up. And it might be, in the beginning, it might be a little bit more aggressive, like once every 2 weeks, then once every month, then once every 2 months. They're gonna get follow-up until I get a definite, I don't want to mess with you. Leave me alone. But you can imagine, so she did 50 calls and 2 appointments. Imagine if she did 200 calls, right? And had, 6 or 8 appointments, and it took her 5 appointments to get a deal, right? So she knows, so that's the scale you got to kind of bridge up. But I'm proud of you for going out and making those 50 calls. Go watch some videos on how to negotiate and how to talk with people at a house. And then the next day, call 50 more right after you get done with those appointments, and then 50 more, and then do 100. Keep going and don't give up.
Sonia says, what's the best way to get started? I've already started sending out postcards. Now what? And I would just say you probably aren't doing enough, but I have no context. I would say, what do you think, Max? What advice should we give Sonia?
I started a 30-day challenge about 14 days ago. Luckily, every single video that I kept up, and this is 100% free. Go to my Instagram, follow every single video, go to my website, sign up so you can receive the daily emails as well, and just follow that. And the reason why I do the challenge is because I actually I love breaking things down from a macro all the way to a micro. And I love that I can, instead of telling you to go out and wholesale, I'm just going to tell you today to go out and do this. And then the next day to go to do this. And by the time you look at the entire pie, you've wholesaled a deal. If you've actually done what you're supposed to do. So I love breaking things down into a little tiny micro, so that you can feel not overwhelmed. But get a part of the 30-day challenges, which is 100% free. There's no strings attached. I'm working deals out with people like DealMachine to make sure you get a free trial during your entire 30-day, so that you can go out and take advantage of the tools and stuff like that.
Samantha says, when a property is boarded up, if you are sending postcards to the boarded up home, how do you finally get the owner? Skip trace. If you're adding it to DealMachine, it'll say absentee owner.
So if you can and that's what I love about driving for dollars. And that's what I love about driving, because if I physically see that property is vacant, I'm not going to send a postcard there. I'm going to do some more investigation to find out where that person actually really lives, right? So no software is going to be 100% correct. And that house they still could be getting mailed there, or the tax records still say they live there. But you physically have seen the property and know that no human can live in that at the current state it is. So you need to do some more digging to find out where that person lives, and go onto DealMachine and you manually change the mailing address.
Somebody says, how do you get familiar with your market?
Become obsessed. Seriously, it's that easy.
I'm looking for the next good question. Okay, so somebody says, DealMachine question, what do you do with the properties you've already sent 4 mailers to and you haven't got a response yet?
Yeah, so real quick, I run my system on what they call a conveyor belt type marketing. Every person loves to communicate in the way they love to communicate. So if you send me mail, I'm never going to get it, right? But if you send me a text message, I may get it. If you call my phone, I may pick up. If you leave me a voicemail, I may pick up. So you have to think of yourself when you're marketing to other people. And there's methods of marketing that if I was trying to get to you, that I wouldn't be able to get to you.
Mhm.
So take the number from the DealMachine app and call the person. And then if you don't get the person, then text the person, right? So maybe there are different forms of actually communication that you can use to get a hold of the person.
Somebody says, is the number of touches or volume of contacts more important?
I think it's a combination. Yeah, I think it's definitely an equation of both.
Yeah, so we always say at least 200 properties is what you need to be setting your goal for if you're driving for dollars and following up at least 3 times. You probably need a little bit more on both of those, but I found that that's really helpful to give people at least some idea of like what their target should be.
Yeah, we do 7 postcards from DealMachine.
Every sales advice online that I've ever read is talking about, 7 to 15 touch points in order to get a sale. Not even real estate.
So postcard every 21 days and 7 of them.
That's awesome. And I've had personally a deal from the 7th postcard. It's all about timing. Let's see. Somebody says, how do you track and manage the leads in DealMachine? Is there a way to create groups or list or categories? And there is actually. They're called tags, I think is what you're looking for. So once you add a deal, inside that deal, you can actually add a tag such as like broken glass or tall grass or a hole in the roof, or you can create your own tag as well. And then you can search and filter your deals by each type of tag. So that would be how you would organize your leads. Let's see. I'm only on questions from 7:11 p.m., so I'm trying to scroll through here. Hey, Hannah, can you bring on Shaketa Mister to ask their question? Let's see. Hey, Shaketa, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. If you have your video, feel free to throw it on. We'd love to see you.
My kids are running there behind me. Let me see how to turn it on here.
I think we're 0 for 3 on video today.
I know. That's all right.
It's not letting me. Sorry. Yeah, I don't see the option for me to.
No worries. We can hear you loud and clear.
There it is. Okay.
There you are.
Perfect.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Nice to see you.
You as well. So it's a two-part question. I'm a baby in the wholesaling game, and I saw estate signs, and so I thought initially it was a probate property, and so I went in and I befriended the owners, and I was talking, and I was thinking it was probate, and she actually just told me in the conversation that this was her first home. She had been in for 14 years. She just bought a new house, and she's doing for sale by owner. And so I had bought some stuff because it was an estate sale. So I bought some stuff and we started talking and we exchanged cards because her husband, he works like as a realtor. But my question was, she gave me the flyer and it's typically a marketing price. So how can I negotiate with her? Because I see the situation, because she said that they were finishing the estate sale on Sunday, because she's like, we got to get out of here. We got a new property about 30 miles north that's larger, and she wants to sell. So I just wanted some tips on how can I use what the relationship I've established today to kind of get it under contract as wholesale to some buyers. Because right now, I mean, it's a beautiful property. It's not a lot of work to be done. It's executive home. It's sitting in front of a gorgeous lake, and it's in a college area.
Got it. So what problem did you identify with speaking with her that she may have?
She said that, for one, she didn't want to go through a realtor, and then two, they wanted to sell. Because I said, so how long are you guys doing this estate for? She said Sunday, because we already have a house in Cartersville, and we need to sell. So the urgency to sell, I sensed.
Okay. So there's an urgency to sell. So there could be, it could be a real urgency desire. One, sometimes people have to sell their house in order to move into a new one, but you said they've already moved, right?
Yeah,
so
that's why she's doing the estate sale, because she said, well, we're selling everything in our home because we have our house in less than 30 minutes away.
Got it. So what I would do if I were you, I would try to find out more motivation. Right now, it just sounds like she wants to sell, and there's really not a need or immediate desire to sell other than timing. And sometimes timing can be an issue. And you said one key thing, you said that the husband was a realtor. So he has great knowledge, or should have great knowledge of his area, of his home. And it's kind of funny to me that they're not going through a real estate agent when their husband can list it for essentially nothing and only give up partial commission.
No, he's not a realtor.
One thing that kind of triggers to me is that they may want more. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah, it froze.
So yeah, for me, I think that maybe they may want too much for the property, and some signs tell me that only because they don't want to list it. They don't even want to pay the commission for it. So it's something that you may want to do some more digging, some more fishing, and see if they're really truly motivated.
Okay. And how do I get a hold to cold calling? Because I drive for dollars like 4 or 5 times a week, and I do the mailers. So how do I don't, that's new to me. I heard someone say that they do cold calls.
So David, how would somebody use your system with the properties that they found and then convert those into cold calls?
Yep. So if you're in front of the property and you want to call them right away, you can press enhanced search and get the number and just call while you're in front of the house. If you've got a large list, I would actually recommend exporting those leads from DealMachine, which you can do at any time, and then go running those through Max's software in order to skip trace in bulk. So those would be my recommendations depending on how many deals you have.
Okay. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Is that all you had for your question?
That was it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Nicholas says that in one of your videos, Max, you said you have to have an airtight relationship with the closing agent. What if I change zip codes or areas? Do I have to find a new closing agent?
No, most of the time, closing agents or attorneys usually work in a wide area. My attorney will essentially close anything in the state. Just because we have that relationship. Most of the things are done electronically now. So I don't think changing zip codes. Now, if you change your entire state or that person doesn't do it, ask them who they recommend when you are, doing deals, across the state or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And I've found here that like any meetup, there's probably like 2 or 3 closing agents that are very wholesaler friendly because they'll be able to do the transaction extremely quickly and for a low price. So you could always go to one of those local meetups and ask for a recommendation as well. Lauren says that she's wholesaling in Portland, Maine, small city, high market. What are your suggestions and thoughts towards that?
I used to live in Portland, Maine. So what I would do is maybe play around in South Portland. Wyndham is kind of transforming a little bit. So I would go to like South Portland, and is on the outskirts of it. I know Portland is very expensive right now. Munjoy Hill is outrageous. So I would kind of look at the outskirts of the actual city, but I know there's deals to be made there. Actually, Dave's brother Ryan lives in I think he lives in Gorham, and he is doing some creative financing deals in there. So I know there is actual deals there. You just may need to go to like South Portland or some of the surrounding cities right outside of the actual city itself.
Hmm. Aaron said, I didn't know you used to live in Portland, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Used to have a restaurant there.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
One of my failed businesses.
Okay. Wow. I had no idea. Would love to talk more about that sometime.
Absolutely.
Aaron says, what do you think about mailing people that are going through bankruptcy?
I'm gonna mail everybody. Like I don't care what they're kind of going through, but I'm also gonna try to call everybody too.
Yep.
So don't really worry about what situation they're going through. Do as much marketing as you can afford, whether it's cold calling, RVMing, mailing. Do all of it to try to reach that person.
Mm-hmm. Andre Evans says, our contact phone number is filtered through the do not call list. The do not call list is just for selling something, and you're not selling anything.
Correct.
Let's see. Okay. There's a lot of chit chat, which is good. I'm just trying to filter through, find the next best question here. All right, Hannah, can you bring on Zachary Alexandre? Kayla Kroom says, Max, I love you. I appreciate all your help.
Too.
Let's see. Looks like Zach's coming on. Okay, so Ryan Thompson says he's working 50 hours a week, but he's trying to wholesale on the side. He's mailing. He just doesn't want to miss calls during the day. So do you have any advice, Max, for somebody who's just like, really overextended but can't answer the phone right away during the day?
I think it's less of a big deal. Just let people know that hey, look, I may be at work. Leave me a message and I'll get back to you during my lunch break or as soon as I get off. People understand that people work.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be a rich investor. I know a guy that owns well over 200 houses and he still has a job at a bank.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't answer all his phone calls.
Mm-hmm. And I would say even like a text response, if you can't pick up the phone and you don't know who it is, you could just say the auto thing. It says like, sorry, can I call you later?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I'm in a meeting. Can I call you right back?
Mm-hmm. All right, we got Zach with us, and we have a video. What's up, Zach? Can't hear you, though. I think you might be muted. Oh, shoot. He looks confused in his car, but we can't hear him.
Now for sure. Now he's unmuted.
Oh, man.
He might have an Android. Give him a break.
Oh, my gosh. That's hilarious. All right, see,
all the Android
try
people
again,
start
Zach.
attacking me. Relax.
Let's see. Well, okay. So that what he typed was he has a cash for keys situation. So like Max, can you describe even what that is?
It depends. I see cash for keys a lot in like uh like the California, Southern California area where keys to get out. That's a tenant. I have seen it done for homeowners that are behind maybe, but there needs to be a little bit more context for it. Essentially, you're trading, saying, "Hey, look, here goes $3,000. Leave the house." More than likely, it's going to be for a non owner of the property that won't vacate for some
Mm-hmm.
reason. But I'm sure there's more reasons than that. I just probably need to hear what he's going to say.
Yeah. I think so. In some states, like California, they've got a lot of laws to protect tenants, right? So you, even if they're like past due, you can't always just kick them out. You have to go through a pretty long process, as far as I know. So the cash for keys is kind of like you're trying to incentivize them to get out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. I don't have any more context. I still can't hear you. He basically just said he's trying to convince him to leave, and they're not biting on his cash offer to get out. So he was looking for more advice there.
Sometimes, so those things take a lot of massaging. You need to make sure that the money you're offering allows them to take that next step or whatever it is they're going to do, whether they get a new apartment or whatever.
Well, thanks for getting on here, Zach. I'm sorry we couldn't hear you, but it sounds like we answered your question.
Yeah, and I think the governor of California today just signed the new entire state rent control. The entire state is in rent control.
Man, I heard
I
that.
guess, so any investors in California that want to invest in North Carolina, let me know, because I know you're not going to be buying no more rental property out there.
That's right. Let's see. Okay, so Long Lee says, I'm in a very hot seller's market and I've been trying constantly to cold call and it seems like I can't get anywhere. Is there any tip to get good deals and leads in a very, very competitive market?
Yeah, do more.
Right. It would be helpful
I
to
know
know
people,
how many
Scott
cold
Oots.
calls he's made.
Yeah, I know Scott Oots is in Southern California. Does a $4 million worth of wholesaling fees a year. He's not anything special. I love the guy, but I'm not saying nothing bad about him. He just does everything consistently.
William Baker says he's switching markets. He's working in multiple markets and he's wondering how to use DealMachine in an easy way. And I think the short answer is on the enterprise plan, you can have different signatures. So that way the return address on the mailers for North Carolina will say your North Carolina address and have your North Carolina phone number. And then the same for any other states. So you want the phone number and the return address to be to be local. So that's how you do that with DealMachine. Somebody says, should they move through their phone list quickly or should they try to contact each one multiple times before moving on to the next one?
Yeah, so you're never going to just get rid of a list. Whatever your method of calling is, you need to call through. Then when you get back, call through the ones that didn't answer again. And then same thing over and over again, at least 3 or 4 times that you want to do that. So don't ever think you're just going to throw away a list because you didn't get a hold of them. And like I said before, maybe you want to text them from your phone because you didn't get them on. And maybe talking on the phone is not their preferred method of communication.
Mm-hmm. Angela Robinson says, what is the best way to start a conversation with a possible seller that's in foreclosure without seeming insensitive to their situation?
Never mention it. You're a random phone call.
And you just say, do you want to sell your house? You don't want to, not like,
Yeah.
I found you
Hey,
on
look,
the foreclosure list.
yeah, exactly. I don't even mention it. They say, I'm in foreclosure. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, you know what? I've bought a few houses this year where people were in foreclosure. Maybe I can help you out. Tell me about your situation.
Mm-hmm. Aaron says, how do you go about wholesaling rural properties that have a lot of acres?
You got to find buyers. No matter what you're doing, you need to find a buyer that is interested or buyers that are interested in rural properties with a lot of acres. right? So if nobody's out there buying, you don't need to be wholesaling that.
Douglas Miller and I have the same question. Okay. He says, Max, are you the kind of person who maps out their entire day first thing in the morning?
I can't. I have no control over that no more.
So do you have any type of routine at all?
I probably know I have hard things in my calendar. Yeah, I do have a wake up routine. It's pretty simple. I'm gonna pop open and I'm gonna listen to like a couple pages of a book. From getting up to taking a shower, and that's pretty much it. And after that, it's just, I don't retire home until I'm ready to go to sleep. But a daily routine is very important for people. I just happen to be doing so much traveling that I break it sometimes.
Spanius Jessup says, are you willing to JV deals, Max?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm building it, and yeah, I am. I'll announce some things that I'm doing soon. But yes, I'm open to JVing deals, and I'm open to a lot of that stuff.
Okay. Tyreek says he's got a lead. The home's $500,000 free and clear, and they're looking for $500,000. How would you negotiate with that seller?
I'll tell them to list the property on the MLS.
Yeah.
I never try to convince the seller that I'm their best option. I actually try to make them think that, they have other options. And then once they see those other options, then they realize that I'm here. I'm not going to waste my time with somebody that wants retail and they know I'm an investor. I let them know that straight. I set the expectation. I'm an investor. I'm not a nonprofit organization. I need to make money.
Somebody says the challenge that you started, Max, has landed them a potentially huge deal on 2 hotels and a multi-unit property.
Oh, wow.
And they asked for advice on how to put a hotel deal together.
I don't know. I've never done one, but here's what I would say. You need to link up with somebody in your market locally that is very credible, that knows what they're doing, and take half of a watermelon than all of a grape, right? So hand that lead and learn how that lead is done by somebody in your market that actually knows what they're doing.
Somebody asked, do you DocuSign all your contracts?
Every single one.
Okay. Somebody asked, what's a touch point? I think they're just asking when we were discussing previously about follow-up.
I'm not even sure I still don't understand that question.
I think it was saying like you need 7 touch points or 10 touch points. And I think that's just could be a mailer, could be a text message. It's just any way that you're reaching out.
Correct.
Jason says, I've uploaded 900 properties and I still haven't gotten a deal. Could I be doing something wrong? I will say this, Jason, it would probably be helpful for us to look at your account to really answer that question.
Yeah.
But I've seen some things people do wrong as well. So like somebody put Jason Abrams, AKA the king of real estate, as their signature. And I just don't know if that's the best thing to put on your mailer, for example. You kind of get what I'm saying?
100%. I mean, and not only that, sometimes you're completely putting the wrong type of properties in DealMachine. You just haven't figured out that formula yet. And it's cool. Sometimes it takes time to understand what properties you need to not be putting in there.
Yep. So Jason, I would like to schedule a time with you to actually personally look through your account. It'll be me or Josh. So Hannah, his name's Jason Abrams. Would you mind getting his contact info for me, please? Okay, moving along. I'm at 7:30. Okay, so we've made it through quite a bit of questions. 7:30 p.m. We've answered some of these, so I'm going to keep going. We are about out of time, so I'm going to hang out a little bit longer. And Max, I know you probably have other things to do.
I got to go to the ranch and go hang out with the horses before they go to bed.
What's
Not
your
that they
what's your
sleep or
horse
anything.
what's your horse ranch, good night routine?
First of all, thank you for the custom halters for the 3 horses. They're awesome. I can't wait to put them on. I'm gonna send you some pictures once I get them out there.
You're so
Um,
welcome. Elise is like the best gift giver, by the way. And she found those.
you're right. Awesome. Well, she's awesome. She's a rock star. I'm going to the ranch now. Um, all the horses are out in the pasture currently. They're going to come in and they're going to get their grain, their daily grain. They have grain in the morning, grain in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And they eat a little bit more during the winter to stay warm. And then it depends how I feel. I may keep them in the stalls at night, or I may leave them out.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on how cold it is and how antsy they are.
So for me on the outside, it's really inspiring to see that you've like purchased a ranch. Is that something you've like always wanted to do for a long time? And now that your business is like at a certain level, you're able to kind of make your dreams come true?
I think because I've matured enough to know that I can take care of a horse, physically and financially. Um, I think it's like a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
And I'm a guy that has no pets, no nothing. So going from not even ever wanting a dog to owning a horse, at least I can ride him, um, is 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 pretty cool. I love it. It's a challenge, and plus it helps my routine. It's
Mm-hmm.
part of my day. I'm there in the ranch every day by 7 to make sure that they're fed and stuff like that. And when I'm in town, I make sure that I'm there every day, every morning, every night.
Mm-hmm. And I know you said one of the 3 horses was not yours. Do you let other people bring their horses as well? Or how does that work?
Just my friend has a horse there.
Okay.
Ezekiel Mitchell. He is a professional bull rider, and he's double times in North Carolina and Texas. So his horse is there as well. I'm actually his agent. So
Right. I remember the name.
yeah.
How do you manage your real estate business and your ranch and your being an agent? I mean, obviously that's a lot to do.
Yeah. I'm the type of person that likes to stay busy. So it's I like it. I'm getting better and better at hiring people, so I get my time back. Like every week I'm reading a new book or listening to a new book about hiring and firing and how to do that process good.
Mm-hmm.
So I can do the stuff I enjoy to do.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're going to do another one next week if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people that are very appreciative as well. And if you've got any final like advice that you want to drop on us before you head out, I think that would be a perfect time to do that.
Yeah. First of all, yeah, thanks for having me on here. And what I say to people is, they get a new tool, and I'm sure you've seen this, David. They get a new tool like DealMachine. They get excited about it for the first few days, and then they stop using it, or they never go out and study the product, and they only use 20% of its capabilities. I really want you to challenge yourself that if you invest the money into the product, invest the time to learning how to do that. They have a great customer support success staff that will help you along the way. They have great tutorial videos, great website, all this stuff to tell you. You just use it and study it and learn how to become a king at something. I promise you can leave whatever day job that is you want to leave or make as much money on the side that you want to have by solely being great at DealMachine without doing anything else. I don't care if you never pick up the phone except to negotiate the contract. I am telling you, if you use the product the way it was designed and intended to the fullest capabilities, then you can be successful to your own right just by using this app. When it's time to scale and grow, then you can get other things. But I promise you that I've known David for over 2 years now. And it's just, I've seen it grow. I've seen him take feedback from the customers to build a better and better app every single time. So please do yourself a favor and learn the app, not just 20% of it. the entire 100%, come proficient, come the expert at DealMachine. And I promise you it'll work for you.
All right, man. Thank you so much, Max. And everyone, I just scrolled through. It looks like Elise and Hannah have been answering a lot of questions as well. I saw one more. I'll pop in and answer here, but I just wanted to say thank you, Max. Enjoy going out to the ranch tonight, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. Have a good night.
Thanks, you too. So the one question I saw here was Ebony Smith. And Ebony, you said you have a lead. He has 2 houses and a beauty shop and a car shop. And he's asking $325, but I can't find any comps on all that. It's a corner lot with all of it on one lot. What should I do next? I would say, is all that stuff on one lot? On one lot, it is. Well, it's going to be hard to find somebody that's going to want 2 houses, a beauty shop, and a car shop. What I might start by doing is I would try to picture breaking it up in your mind after you get it under contract and say, like, what does each of those 2 houses, what are each of those worth? Okay. And so if each of those 2 are worth, 100,000 each, I might try and tackle the deal for 200,000, not knowing if you're going to be able to do anything with the other 2 things on there. So it's really hard for me to say, right? Because you don't have the comp. And I don't know if you have a buyer that wants to buy a beauty shop and a car shop. So I think the way you're going to have to do it is find somebody that's willing to take those and split them up. And unless the seller is willing to split them up, he's probably going to have to give you a discount for you to do that work. So don't be afraid to ask quite a bit below that if the houses alone are worth quite a bit below that. That's how I'd personally tackle it. I know it's not the perfect, clear answer. And then Erica has some advice that says calculate the cash flow. So I think that's super accurate if for commercial real estate, right? A lot of the valuations built based on the cash flow. So I don't know, are those businesses his? And if those businesses are his, if he's moving them out, you might want to work with like somebody to figure out what those commercial properties could possibly rent for in order to value those properties. A lot of people jumping in here to answer your question. Okay, Ebony says I answered her, so that's great. All right, guys, I'm signing off. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we're going to be back here next Thursday at 7 p.m. the same time. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys soon.